You ever wondered why UK ponds are totally different from North American ponds? Well, we're going to discuss that right after this. Hi there, and welcome back to Stubbs Aquatics.
We're here with each other.
Yeah, I'm here
This
with
is Chris.
my buddy
I'm Digger Jim. And we just decided we would sit down and kind of chat about UK ponds. And
Don't we have formalities we got to look after?
oh yeah, you know what they are. I like, subscribe,
Hit the notification
bell.
There, we're all done.
That's it.
We're done.
Okay.
So let's deal with the topic at hand. That being, why there's so many or so much differences between UK ponds and North American.
Generally speaking.
Yeah, there's always an exception to the rule.
Yeah.
But let's start out with the main one, filtration. Wow, what a difference in the UK. I mean, here, if I said easy pod, no one would know what I'm talking about. But over there, it's like filtration comes first. And there's probably a reason behind that, but we'll get into that a little bit later. But, their filtration, whether it's the Nexus, Easy Pod,
drum filters,
upflows,
Baki showers.
The Baki showers are just awesome. But, even their 3 drum systems outdo what we have over here. And I'm not knocking what we have over here. It's totally different. It's like
we don't seem to have access to the equipment that's available in the UK.
Oh no! I mean, to get a Nexus or EasyPod, the odds are you're ordering from a company who's going to ship it from the UK to here.
Yeah.
And then we're paying premium dollars. I do have an EasyPod, but that was used, and I got it from a person who used to have a koi business. But let's get on to something other that the UK have way over us, and that is access, like you were mentioning, to koi. Like koi dealerships here are, well, they're hard to find.
There's basically been 3 of them that have closed within the past 8 years or so that were close to us. Now the closest ones you've talked about before is
Vandermeer's, and that's it.
We have basically one shop. There's online, of course, Amazon, and then there's Pets and Ponds. That's all I know of.
But to buy koi itself, that's a difficult thing.
Yeah,
because it's seasonal here. If you don't get them bright and early in the spring, like you would when you're doing your gardens, they're all closed down.
They're gone.
Now that's mainly in Canada, but in the west coast of Canada, in BC, they have a little bit more, simply because their climate is a little bit more moderate.
Bit of a longer season,
and their winters aren't the extreme. Now, even in the United States, there's really not that many koi dealers when you think of it, for the size of the country and that many people. But the UK, virtually seems like everyone's got a koi pond, and everyone can do a tour of a koi dealership within 45 minutes of them.
Seems that way.
It's going to take me an hour and a half just to get to Vandermeer's.
Yeah.
And that's the closest. And there are a few small dealers in the city of Toronto, which is our biggest city. But that's crazy. And it's not like North American people aren't really enthused about their koi or their garden ponds. There's just not as many enthused.
Now, I wonder if that comes down to our climate, or if it comes down to the cost.
Or is it our culture?
It's not cheap, setting up a koi pond.
Well, not here.
It's basically a hobby.
Yep.
For me, it's more of a passion, but it's still a hobby.
Yep.
But it's expensive.
It is, but it doesn't have to be.
Because of that, it's limiting.
It doesn't have to be. One of the people that I got to send over a video, being Vince from Twisted Koi, which will show you how to basically set it up with used and build it DIY. And he saves a ton of cash. So, it can be done. And you and I have built our own ponds.
Yep.
And a lot of the stuff we've added is DIY, or used.
Yep.
It's simply what we're available to.
Yeah, I mean, I might have had a pond for 15 years, But I've only really just started learning about some of these things myself in the past couple of years. And you're right, there's all kinds of things you can do. If you can get creative, you can come up with some really effective filtration.
Yeah, you
Fairly
certainly
cheap.
can. And then, what I also want to talk about in the UK, virtually everyone has a bottom drain,
Yeah.
which, I'd love to have a bottom drain, but they frighten me because of our climate. The pipes would freeze
Yeah.
unless you kept the pond running 24/7, 365 days a year. But here, it
Well,
can't be done.
My Koi Obsession has bottom drains.
He shuts his pond down, though.
He does, doesn't he? Yeah. He
Yeah.
takes his fish inside.
And he's got, they're like, I don't know if we mentioned, there's an exception to every rule. And Ken is one of the exceptions with his filtration. I don't think you could beat his filtration in Canada.
No.
I would drink the water that came out of his pond filters.
Yeah.
It's probably, well, I can guarantee it's better than Lindsay water.
Yeah.
Because it hasn't passed.
Another thing too, it's all contained in one area. He's got his filter pit. UK, a lot of them have a filter shed. It's all contained in one area, whereas Chris is set up here, and the same with mine. I've got filtration over here, I've got filtration over there, filters over here, and I got to go around, I got to pull the media out.
And which also means separate pumps.
It takes me about an hour to clean it all.
Yeah, which,
and multiple pumps.
Is multiple pumps, where generally they have one, maybe two pumps.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's hooked up with their bottom drain, there's no need for a pump, right? It goes straight into their easy pod, and then whatever else they're doing, and whether they're using mechanical filtration on top of that with the with their matting and everything else. We're going to show you some great examples of some UK ponds and their filtrations. What else I'd like to, we kind of touched on it with dealers, is they have access to some pretty amazing koi.
It seems that way. I've only viewed a few UK koi keepers on YouTube, but I've seen a lot of similarities, and it does appear that you can get anything you need. So much more than what is available to us here.
I'm talking just koi itself. Like, there's so many breeders there, and then they have so many that are, they have their setups, and they're bringing in imports as well. Like, some of the spots they have, and breeders like Adam Beyer or New Forest Koi, they're known all over the place because of the quality fish that they produce in the UK. But one of the big differences between a North American koi pond or garden pond is the pond itself.
Yeah.
I mean, for the most part, they're raised. And some of them, they would call them sleeper ponds, just because of the wooden ties they would use to build them. But some are prefab that are above ground, and some, which you definitely couldn't do here, are fiberglass, because there's no way fiberglass would survive our winters.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of that.
But the one thing I love, and I know you love it even more so on the UK ponds, is their viewing ability, because they'll have the glass frontage.
They got the glass pane on the front, which is great. Certainly can't see my fish from the side in my ponds, but also because they're raised, I don't have to get down on the ground to get a really good close look at my fish.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I like that. Then he's starting to,
and you're taller,
bugger up a bit, and I'm taller, so it's nice to be able to stand there or just lean on the side and get a really good view of what's going on with your fish. I like that.
I really like that. I also, it's not a knock at them. They seem to be easier to clean because they don't have the same things that we would keep in them. For the most part, they don't have plants in them.
No, and I've seen a lot, and they've got like a covering over them.
Yeah.
And lighting.
Like a pergola.
And some other stuff, but not a lot of plant material around, so there's not a lot of stuff blowing into it.
Yep.
They're not planted generally, what I've seen.
So much easier to clean than ours.
I would imagine they would be, right?
Well, you know how much time we have to get in and actually clean ours.
Yep.
One, because we don't have a bottom drain, and two, well, it's just the way, the style of it, right?
Yeah. Well, it's like your magnolia in the corner dropping petals into the pond right now.
Or the crab tree, or the cherry tree.
Yep. Or my service berries.
Or the plum tree.
Yeah, exactly. So you're always skimming, because the skimmer's not going to take it all out. It's just not.
Plus all the leaves.
Yeah. So,
what a huge difference.
but it does seem, I wouldn't call it what a couple that I've seen a sterile environment. I mean, it's very nice, very well done, very tidy, clean, presentable. I love it. But is it my style, or do I really prefer skimming the petals out of the pond? And
it's probably the only thing we've really known here in North America for the most part. Again, there are some exceptions. My friend Christine from Sweet Acres Koi Farm, she has a partially raised pond with a couple feet above and then about 4.5 feet below. So she's got a full 6 feet of depth, and she's able to cover it with basic poly or just like a tarp. And she had no ice over the winter, and she's in the Midwest.
She didn't drain it at all, like down to
no,
grade or anything?
Right up to the top.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
And she took measurements all season long of top water temperatures, above water temperatures, mid and bottom.
Okay, yeah.
And just to show where it stayed the warmest. And
yeah.
I thought at the bottom would have stayed the warmest because it's only 6 feet deep, but it was mid-level.
Interesting. But
like a lake.
But it's not 6 feet below grade. That's
no, it's only 4 feet.
Yeah, so you're not 6 feet down where it is warmer. You're only 4 feet down below grade. Even though you got 2 feet of water above grade, that doesn't.
Well, you'll have to see it once I set it up.
Yeah.
But and I know we basically touched on the culture of pond keeping in UK. I think it's more of a lifestyle, and they live, eat, and breathe it. And for the most part, they'll never mix koi and goldfish. For the most part, there are some exceptions. Like we don't.
No,
we don't mix them.
We keep ours separate.
And I'm not worried about them interbreeding or anything like that, because if they do breed, they're sterile. So I'm not worried about that.
I just like one type of fish in my pond.
Right? I agree.
I've got the shubbies in my old pond. I got the koi in my new pond. I like looking at my koi, and then I like looking at my shubbies.
But they got to be out of the different.
But they got to be separated.
And I think they're the same way. I mean, I know people in the UK that do have in-ground ponds, and they're basically the exception.
Yeah.
Because most of their in-ground ponds, they call them nature ponds, and they're usually about 1.5 feet deep, and they have just basically for wildlife.
No, I think there's a lot of personal preferences.
Oh yeah.
And mine obviously is what you've got set up here, and I've done something similar at my place.
Well,
I do prefer it over a raised pond, but I do know for me there are advantages of a raised pond over an in-ground pond.
Huge.
No doubt about it.
Well, especially with predators and everything else.
Yeah.
But let's look at some UK ponds. I want to thank those people that were kind enough to send me some footage of their ponds and their filtration. So let's have a look. The first place we're going to look at is Vince from Twisted Koi. And he really does maximize the use of space. He's got some grow-on ponds that we talked about earlier. And, obviously an easy pod there. And then look at this spot he built. And that's out of brick. And then a viewing window, and it's glassed around it like a greenhouse.
That is so cool.
And he just opens that door like it's a door, and he gets fish in and out. And it keeps them nice and warm all winter. And then the other thing you saw was an IBC tank, believe it or not, like I have.
Yeah.
And again, a grow-on pond, and he's got, a filter shed like everyone else. So all his stuff is all wrapped to help insulate, which is really great. And then he's got some uptake filters there.
Yeah, Baki shower in there too.
Yeah, that's on the other end on his main pond.
Okay.
That's just his grow-on pond. And then the view from his shed to his main pond, which is awesome, right?
Yeah.
Again, it's a raised pond. Really cool system. It's one of a kind, just like Vince. But that's his view from his house.
I love how he tucked it in between the house and the shed. Or it appears that he tucked it in.
And he did, because you see him build it all. And that's where he keeps all his main fish. And they are big and beautiful. Speaking of big and beautiful, this is Mike from Gifter's Koi. I love all that woodwork there. Well, look around my yard, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But look at that. That is just awesome. And that's a hidden Baki shower where you see the water coming out. And up above, it's all covered in what is it called? Polycarbonate?
Yeah,
Whatever.
I think so.
And then he covers the rest up in the wintertime. But what a
Great setup.
Oh, yeah. And the koi that he has there. Look at the clarity of his water.
Yeah.
Just awesome. And then, of course, he's got a filter shed.
Yeah,
Everyone does, apparently.
I love that. Everything's out of sight.
Yep. And
it's all in one spot.
The moving bed he's got. Look at the movement on that. And like everyone else, off to the right, you're going to see air source heat pump. Wow. I can't imagine the billing. You know, I don't know what they pay for
hydro. Yeah, there. Really. Yeah.
But look at that Backy shower.
That Backy shower is amazing.
Now, you wouldn't want to be too big to get in between everything.
No,
I'd be sending you going, okay, it's time to clean my stuff.
Yeah, Jim, come on over. Yeah, squeeze in there, will you?
Yeah. If you had too many beer, I'd have to pull you out. But you can see his koi are just thriving because of the quality.
Oh, I was going to say the quality of the water is fantastic.
It's just awesome. And then this is his grow-on pond because everyone has one of those apparently.
Not to mention, I got to point it out, everyone's got a mug collection too.
Yeah, they do. I've got one. I think there's about 6 months now.
You're doing good.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, he obviously is using a moving bed filter.
Yeah.
K1 must be a lot cheaper there than it is here because it's super expensive.
Well, everything's things are expensive there as well, but I think things are super expensive over here. And I think it's just based on the size of the industry.
Yeah.
We're just not big enough over here.
Well, yeah. They have competition. Here, there's no competition.
No.
This is your price, and that's what you pay. And good luck finding someone to compete with, right?
Yeah, yeah.
The next video is supplied to you by Dave, also known as Rocket Boy from Koi Karma. Now, this is a prefab pond, believe it or not.
You'd mentioned that, and it's like,
wow, no way.
That's huge.
I saw, he's got a video out of it actually being delivered. Those koi are awesome, especially that koaku. Like, yeah. Wow. Of course, he's got an air source heat pump because, And then he's got a Backy shower, an Easy Pod filtration system, and then he's got a moving bed system that's in a garbage can. But I love their electronics, how they can shut anything off.
Yeah.
Or we have to unplug everything.
I'm just unplugging everything.
Yeah, I would love to have that system. It's just awesome.
That looks fantastic.
It's a beautiful system. And he's got grow on just out of sight here. Those were some pretty cool ponds. Like, wow.
Yeah.
I really like, I like them all, but Gifster being Mike, I like his pergola. I like the wooden, around it, right? I've got everything as wooden. I like that because that's what I like.
Yeah. You ever heard of Koi Envy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, my shirt's green too. That's fitting.
And, I don't know if we talked about it too much, and that's almost everyone has a filter shed.
Yeah.
Where here, you don't.
Yeah.
And we'll get into why we don't, but everyone has one.
It seems that way, yeah. Everything's out of sight, everything's tidy.
Everything's neat, tidy.
All set up, I think it's fantastic.
And it's probably, a lot of it's got to do with the size of property we have in North America versus the size of the property they have in the UK, where their yard is half the width of ours.
Yeah. Like
maybe 25 feet wide, so they can't afford to be, not being neat and tidy.
Yeah, exactly that. And they've got to be compact. They've got to use every square inch they can.
Well, look how much Vince was able to put into his area, and same with Dave. Like, they got so much in there, and another thing we didn't even talk about is they all have virtually grow-on tanks.
Grow-on pond, yeah.
Yeah. So, and I guess we do too. I've got a grow-on here, but it's on the wrong side of the property. It's on the north side. It's the coldest.
Yeah.
So that's why I put the IBC tanks in.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's.
Temperature makes a big difference. Sorry.
That's all right. So now that we're back, let's look at some of the North American style. Predominantly, we're in ground.
Yep.
For weather reasons, for the most part. Now, sure, in the southern states you don't have to be, but up here, a raised pond would freeze 4 feet down. At least where we live.
I imagine there'd be a lot of problems over the winter, depending on how severe the winter was, with a raised pond, the structure itself, never mind the water freezing.
Well, and the fact that they say, well, just heat it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I can barely afford to heat my house in the winter.
Yep.
There's no way I could heat a pond.
No.
Not with our others. Like, how do you heat a pond when the outside temperature is minus 30 or minus 40?
Yeah.
And they say, well, heat a pond. Well, there's no real insulation. We had a hot tub, and that was virtually doubling my electrical and heating bill.
I bet, yeah.
So I can't imagine.
But imagine and the volume of water you're talking about, too.
Yeah. If I was filthy rich, I guess that wouldn't even be a question. But we're not dealing with the 1%ers.
That's right.
You know, we're dealing with average, normal people that have an ordinary wage and, have to live on it, right?
Yeah, and somehow kind of fell their way into koi keeping.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, look what developed out of this.
And, I know we talked about the filtration on the UK. The filtration in North America, and this is not an insult to us. Well, it is and it isn't. We think pond first, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dig the pond, build the pond, make
Shape,
the pond pretty,
style,
make it pretty, make it all a garden, make it really nice looking. Then we get it going. We go, I got to put filtration on this.
Well, case in point, when I built my koi pond 2 years ago, that's when I first met you. I bought a skimmer and a spillway that I thought was adequate. I don't even want to get into it. It's useless for the size of pond, and it was spec'd for my size of pond. Well, it's just useless.
Yeah.
So I've had to add to it, and I've still got to add to it, and I'm trying to figure out now how to add more filtration to it on a really, really small budget. So I didn't think that in the beginning about my filtration. It was more the shape of the pond, style of the pond, depth of the pond, space for my koi, all of that, and filtration was kind of secondary. Yeah, filtration is generally an afterthought.
Yeah. And now there are exceptions, again, going back to Ken for my koi obsession.
Yeah.
Is I don't know if he should change his name from
filter obsessed
to my filter obsession. And I love my koi.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I love his setup. I love his filter pit. I think it's fantastic, and it's all out of sight.
I know.
Which I like.
It's
You're not
amazing.
seeing this here and that there, and I really like his setup.
But going back, the differences, for the most part, the style of a North American pond is a natural. I would say a natural look, if they can.
Yeah.
Whether it's with a waterfall or a stream.
But definitely in ground.
Oh yeah.
And there are, you can do a really nice formal in-ground pond. Something rectilinear with a nice cascade at one end of it, for example, and
definitely
water lilies, but nothing much plant-wise. Yep. You have to up the filtration, but keep it nice and clean and simple. And that would also be in ground. But I'd say the majority, like anything we've gone to look at, it's all like all a natural setting.
Yeah,
just
natural settings
and plantings.
Yeah, and yours is all natural looking. Mine is sort of
cottage country.
Cottage country met Asia.
Well, there's the Asia swimming around, and everything else is cottage country.
And it's some of the decking across and the trees and overhang that you tried to make it look a little more like a Japanese garden.
And even like this time of year with the flowering crabapple and the flowering plum and stuff. Yeah. And then there's that style of filtration that we never stop talking about, and that would be the bog filter.
No, really?
Plants do a great job of absorbing nitrates,
phosphates, you name it. They're nature's
scrubbers.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. They look fantastic. Huge variety of plants you can choose from, flowering plants and just plants for their foliage. I have one in my bog gardens, and I don't know the name of it. I picked it up last year, and I'm really surprised at how quickly it came back this spring and how much it has grown this spring. So it starts off really early before other plants do, because they're not all going to come back to life at the same time. There's that. I think they look fantastic. It's great having, I'm just looking at your lilies over here in the pond and just watch them in the breeze. It just adds another element to the whole
natural feel, and it really does do a great job yeah, you have to clean your bog filters out periodically, but for the most part, yours are a matter of a couple inches,
Yeah.
and they freeze obviously straight down,
Yeah.
and the plants come back to
The
life,
plants are
no
fine.
problem.
Yep.
Because for the most part, we use natural plants that are here and should be here.
Yep.
They're native, and so they're going to be able to take our -30, -40
And
stupid
being
temperatures.
frozen on a block of ice.
Yeah.
For how many months?
6, 7.
Yeah. I don't know if some suffered this year because our winter was so strange from February through March and then April. I do have a couple of pots in my bog garden, and I'm not seeing anything growing in it yet. And I have no idea what's in it. I don't know what
There'll be arrowheads.
So most likely
There'll be arrowheads because arrowheads are always one of the last ones to come up, and that's just the way they are.
Yeah.
They're a bulb plant.
Yeah, and they're beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
So let's go take a look at some of these North American style that some great people send me. The first spot we're going to take a look at is Terry from Twunder Aquatics. Now, I know I'm showing you shabunkins because, well, I think we both know we have, well, at least I have issues with them. Yeah.
What kind of issues?
Well, I like them, especially those black and white
Especially
ones.
these ones. Look at the finish on them.
Those are awesome. Between the shabunkins and the Sarasa comets.
They look incredible.
Yes, but what we're talking about is the gardening.
Yeah. And
being the filtration and the difference between the UK and North American. Now, you being a gardener should, this is up your alley.
It is. That is far too much work for me, I gotta say. It looks fantastic. It's amazing. I also want to point out we are taking some specific examples to show a contrast between different styles of ponds on both sides of the pond.
Yeah, exactly.
His gardening, his ponds, everything just looks incredible. It all fits well together. It looks so natural.
Wow, it looks stunning. It looks like it should be in a park.
Oh, he's done a fantastic job. But like I say, for me, that's just way too much work.
Even for you?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm gardening for clients all day, 5-6 days a week. I don't have time for that at my house. I wish I did.
I don't know how anyone would have that. He's probably has a team of gardeners, but I know Terry, he'd do it all himself. We're going to take a look at his filter there, which you just saw briefly. And it's, your typical waterfalls filter. Pretty awesome. And not to mention he's got an amazing bog filter. Now that's his skimmer system, which is pretty cool. Except for, he's got his different chambers and he can lift it all out for any leaves. Much better than mine. What do you think of,
I like it, and we're not going to talk about my skimmer.
And your fish aren't going to get stuck. And he's got a filter on top of his falls.
I love that cascade coming down.
Yeah, it's perfect. It's just not too much. Just getting a look at Terry's water falls filter. It's a box filter is so common here in North America where no one uses really box filters in the UK. Mm-hmm. But what's really big here is bog filters, and that is one amazing example of a bog filter.
That is fantastic. Look at it. Look at all those plants in there.
And it's only the springtime. Imagine that in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to do so much work.
Yeah.
Now, as a gardener, you're going to love this.
Right.
This is Dee's yard. And she's got a great channel on gardening. And this is just one of her features at her place. Between this and the woodland
wow,
feature.
Yeah. Look at that setting. Perfect.
But I guess we're talking about ponds. And the main filtration is a box filter waterfall system and a skimmer system.
Looks like it's doing a good job.
Yeah, lots of plants, and she mixes koi and goldfish, which, isn't real popular in the UK, but here it's pretty much the norm, right?
Once again, we're taking a look at another natural setting, natural looking pond, compared to what we've looked at the UK with raised ponds. It's just a totally different feeling, a totally different...
Her place is like a park. If you saw the rest of her property, it's just like, wow, and wow.
Now we're on to my friend Kate's place at B&M Aquatics, which I'm going to be doing a feature film on later on this summer when I go down to visit her in New Jersey. She's gotten, well, it's a store, right? Their system is pretty awesome. They have bead filters,
And a pool shed or a filter shed.
which is, rare here, but
I like it.
who wants to see a bead filter, right? And then they're using a pool pump, which I have no problem with, especially because it's easy to remove skimmer system. I really like how they've got the two baskets,
Nice.
one ready just to drop right in there, so you don't have to turn everything off.
Nice.
It's a really smart system.
Yeah.
I can see why they're using a pool pump, because when you're dealing with bead filters, you need a really powerful pump, and ours just wouldn't cover it. And with those, you have to have an area where you can backwash everything. Yeah, pretty awesome system. But when we saw those stone walls, they were awesome, eh?
They were incredible, yeah. I hadn't noticed them first time. Nice backwash discharge there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect spot, eh?
I flooded my garden this spring.
You can see they've got a couple different systems.
Yep.
But I know we're not going to see a lot of her pond systems.
Wow, that's nice too.
And those are big, beautiful koi. Now we're going to look at my buddy Greg's golden fish tank.
That there is dedication and passion when you got to bang through bedrock to create a nice koi pond. Good job.
Yeah. Now he's going to keep his shubbies that he's been breeding in there. And it's going to be an awesome little pond.
Well, here we are at Sweet Acres Koi Farm.
That's a raised one we spoke about earlier. 4 feet down, 2 feet up.
Yes.
It's an awesome system. And I love how they flow into each other.
Well, there's 3 or 4 different ponds that all connect.
And then, of course, a bog filter, which I absolutely love. Now, she does have a natural pond out front, which is cool. And she's got koi and actually bluegill in there.
Yep.
What an awesome little spot. And the main filtration is actually the bog. Now, the next one is a total treat for everyone, being that he's not on any social media, not on YouTube, Instagram, anything. And I don't think his place has ever been shown to anyone. This is John from Nova Scotia. And, well, this is just his goldfish pond that flows from the upper pond through a really cool stream and waterfalls into the lower pond.
That looks so cool. He's also got a lot of plant material up in that top part too.
He uses a bog, and he's got a upper filter that he's taken the lid off so we could see. Look at the flow on that.
That is fantastic.
Right? That is just awesome.
And a lot of rocks in the stream too, which is also a great spot for beneficial bacteria to grow.
Oh, exactly. And this is springtime in Nova Scotia, which is cooler than here. So a lot of his plants haven't taken off yet.
Good water flow in there too.
That's
fantastic.
Awesome water flow. And he keeps it going year round.
Does he really?
Yeah.
That is fantastic. Oh, I wish I could do that here.
And he's got a good sized skimmer box. It's not huge, but it's an awesome system. Now for the main feature, which is the koi pond.
That is beautiful.
Yeah.
Once again, look at the setting. Like all the wooded area behind it. Great backdrop.
We are in Nova Scotia, Canada,
Well, we wish we were sometimes.
I wish I was. Nova Scotia, for those who don't know, is on the east coast of Canada. A little bit milder in the winter, even though they have longer winters than we do. They don't have the frigid temperatures. Look at those amazing koi.
Wow.
Now, I know everyone's going to say he's got rocks at the bottom of it, but his kids use this basically as a pool, and they play in it. Now, that is a skimmer box.
That, yes.
And do you know how much water he moves out of there? He's got 2 7,500-gallon hour pumps.
That's fantastic.
That's a flow and a half. Now this goes to 2 bead filters. That's amazing. It's all underground.
Look at that. Is that the filter there? Is that the valve on the filter?
Yeah, that is.
That's fantastic.
That's awesome, eh?
Wow.
You don't see that every day. And he keeps it running 365 days a year.
That's fantastic.
That is awesome.
Yeah, I wish I could run my ponds that amount of time.
I wish I had this kind of system.
Yeah. Definitely springtime out in Nova Scotia. I can just imagine how this comes along during the summer. The plants come back again. And
his irises are up and doing well.
Oh, his iris in the pond are fantastic. And I love the idea of rocks in the pond. I just don't love the idea of cleaning them.
Yeah, that's going to be a major, at one time. And he's got some rushes and some cattails in there as well. Now, I know this is a little bit off topic, but look at the fish. Those are beautiful koi.
But look at something else. Springtime. Look how clear his water is.
Yeah.
He's got a great setup.
Yeah.
Beautiful fish. I still can't see my fish.
He does have I think an ultraviolet in his, I'm not quite sure, but I think he's got one in his skimmer box.
Mm-hmm.
This is, it's the next level, right?
Yeah.
And this is why I think this is probably one of the best koi ponds in Canada. It's the best I've ever seen in Canada anyways.
Good size, great water quality, awesome fish, great filtration, nice landscaping around it. Fantastic job.
And like I said before, you guys are the first to see this pond. This has never been shown on any kind of social media at all. You're the lucky ones to see this pond. This is amazing. And these koi are stunning. These are all Japanese imports.
And I know you don't care for them much, but he's got some beautiful butterflies in there too.
I'm not a butterfly guy, but I'm looking at the other ones like some of the Sankey. Now, whose pond is this?
That looks absolutely incredible.
That's last summer, isn't it?
Where? Where is that?
I think it's at, what's his name? Digger Jim.
I do a good job, don't I?
Weren't those some pretty amazing?
Some people are so creative.
Like B&M Aquatics, that was, and then John from Nova Scotia, that was next level.
Yeah.
Like the two separate ponds, like, Shabumpkin ponds or goldfish ponds, and then his koi pond.
Yeah, fantastic.
He's got 15,000 gallons an hour moving.
Yeah.
Through
That's a ton of water.
Huge bead filters.
That's a ton of water.
Wow. Yeah. Unbelievable. And those are all high quality koi in there.
Yeah. It comes down to obviously money and creativity.
I think he
passion.
I think he saves his money because he's a working class guy, and I wish I could send you to a channel for John for YouTube, but there isn't one. Pretty private guy, and I really feel honored that he shared a video with us because he's never shared a video of his pond with anyone on social media.
Yeah.
The odd time he'll pop up in a live stream.
I just got a great idea for another video.
You want to go to Nova Scotia?
We're doing a cross-country pond tour.
Oh, great.
Never mind just Lindsay and area. We're going across country.
Sure.
All right.
I can't wait to tell my wife.
I'm sure you can get some sponsors.
I don't know. Molson? Or maybe Labatt will sponsor you? I don't know.
You never know, right?
Anyways, I want to thank everyone for watching. I want to thank my buddy Digger Jim for being here and putting up with me. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe.
You did that already.
I did that. I always do it a second time.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Oh, all right, carry on.
Too late now. You've ruined it.
No, I haven't.
Sure you have.
Yep. Subscribe, hit that notification bell.
And hit that like button.
You know something you never talk about?
What?
Share this video.
Share it.
Share this video.
Sharing is caring.
It is. Look at us.
Oh, yeah. Here we go. What'd you say? We're the Laurel and Hardy.
Laurel and Hardy of koi keeping.
Which one's which?
Let us know. We can't remember.
Yeah, and most of you won't know who they are anyway, so I'm okay with it.
You want to bet?
Yeah. Anyways, thanks for watching, and keep on keeping on. Bye for now.